About once in a century, big ideas in transportation infrastructure come along and bring big changes with them. In the 1900s, we forged our nation with powerful locomotives and railroads. Neighborhoods were scaled and laid out with trolleys. In the 20th century, America had a bold, sweeping vision for a transportation system that was introduced which would reshape the very way we live. The automobile was new, and the possibilities seemed endless. The vision began to take hold during the 1939 World's Fair, when millions of Americans lined up to see the General Motors Futurama. The exhibit showed depression-weary audiences a brave new world of sleek highways and well-ordered cities. President Dwight David Eisenhower built on that vision in 1956. Gasoline was just 20 cents a gallon when he signed the Interstate Highway Act. It was an ambitious program to link America's cities and states with a network of long-distance superhighways. It had been called the biggest public works project in history. Over the next 50 years, we built that system of interstates and built it again. With the interstate project done, we've entered a new era. But what is our vision for the 21st century? Hi, I'm Dan Burden, both an advocate and pioneer for advances in transportation that works for people. Since 1980, I've worked with over 2,500 communities around the country to help them design transportation systems that work for them. As I travel the country, listening to people talk about their desires for their neighborhoods, cities, and metropolitan areas, I find a growing sense they were hungry for a new, transformative vision. Today we have a tremendous, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to put ourselves on a new path that, as Congress reconsiders a major rewrite of our National Investment Plan for Transportation Infrastructure. We live in a very different world from the 1950s. Gas is no longer 20 cents a gallon, and we're now dependent on foreign sources of oil. We built so many miles of highways that we're having trouble keeping up with maintenance. Our transportation system today is a major reason for our dependence on oil. We often lack any choice in transportation. Here in Tallahassee, Florida, the town campus connection, even getting across the street, is risky behavior. In our attempts to move our vehicles, we have forgotten our children. And the sheer amount of driving we have to do each day is a key contributor to global climate change. This is not sustainable. Even so, Americans are starting to drive less and to take public transportation more often. In fact, over the last year, more Americans took transit than any year since 1956, the year the Interstate Highway Act was passed. With a lack of daily exercise contributing to our biggest health issues, many are looking for safe places to walk and bicycle more often. Millions of us are looking for a way out of congestion. And millions more in low-income areas, often cut off by big highways, are looking for a way to get to jobs and places beyond the reach of public transit. Indeed, in just a few years, 30% of all Americans will be over age 65, and our neighborhoods were not built for aging in place. We must retool our cities and suburbs for our aging population. Many employers and businesses, meanwhile, are searching for locations that offer more and better travel options so that their workers, customers, and goods can be reached more efficiently and effectively. And the car companies like General Motors, well, they've seen better days. President Obama certainly has recognized that a visionary new program of investment is needed. President Obama has said, "We will create millions of jobs by making the single largest new investment in our national infrastructure since the creation of the federal highway system in the 1950s. The President was talking about his proposed stimulus package, but he also knows that Congress this year is rewriting the federal law that governs how $50 billion+ is spent each year on transportation. This is hugely important to our communities. Federal funds pay for 80% of construction and maintenance of our major roads and half or more of public transportation infrastructure. They support construction of sidewalks, bike trails, and streetscapes. Federal rules on how the money is spent have shaped the way our roads and our communities are designed. They govern what gets built and what doesn't. They either add value to adjacent land or subtract value. They either support the use of public transit, walking and bicycling, or discourage them. With this year's transportation bill, we have an opportunity to begin building the system we need for the 21st century and to complete the other half of a network we began in the 20th. We can give ourselves more and better options. Options that are cleaner, smarter, more efficient, less costly to use, and safer for our children and for an aging population. We can make ourselves less dependent on oil, do less damage to the climate, and repair damage done to our communities in the past. Cities like Denver and Charlotte have decided they want to shape their future growth and avoid highway congestion by building walkable neighborhoods around a light rail and rapid bus network. These new neighborhoods will allow residents of all ages and incomes to find a place with easy access to work and daily needs. This allows them to spend less time and money on their transportation. Where once they built roads that were safe only for cars, states like California and Washington are now investing in complete streets. Streets that provide for the safety and comfort of everyone, whether traveling by car, bicycle, foot, or public transit, and for people of all abilities. The city of Santa Barbara, California, used that approach to turn a 4-lane throughway into this complete street. Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, and several other cities have revived the streetcar, connecting former industrial areas that emerged as vibrant new neighborhoods that connect to the rest of the city. States such as Massachusetts and Maryland have adopted fix-it-first policies, vowing to repair and upgrade their existing roads and bridges before building more, and adding to their maintenance needs. This saves money in the long haul and ensures that these assets will be there when they're needed. In the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act, Congress and the administration made a down payment on a high-speed rail network. We have an opportunity to follow through with the bill, but we can also expand all forms of rail for both passengers and freight. Think about your own community, about the town, city, or metropolitan area where you live. Think about your needs as you move about your state. What kind of investments would provide you, your children, your parents, or grandparents the travel and living options you'd like to see? What would help make you and other area residents less vulnerable to volatile oil prices and supplies? What revisions to your roads would make them safer for you and your family? Whether you're driving or whether you're walking or biking to school, to work, or to a transit stop. Thank you for being with us today and for helping Transportation for America's large and growing coalition tell Congress what Americans want and need in a bold, new transportation vision for a 21st century America.